Hello and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. It's always wonderful to be with you again. I have a most extraordinary woman to introduce you to today. Her name is Tanis Helliwell. Welcome to the show, Tanis.
Hello, Karen.
And, I was reading your bio this morning, also one of the speakers in the Higher Self Expo, speaking about the science of, well, all sorts of things, but anthroposophy is one of them, the science of the nature spirits. Tanis is just, look, I've got her bio here. It's a long bio, but I'm going to read it, the whole thing, because you've done so much. Since childhood, Tanis Helliwell has seen and heard elementals, angels, and master teachers in higher dimensions. Wanting to assist humanity with spiritual transformation, Tanis started conducting therapy practices specializing in spiritual transformation and led tours and walking pilgrimages to sacred sites across the world for over 20 years. She is a leading edge psychotherapist, well known for working to heal physical, emotional, and mental traumas and patterns, and has taught her techniques internationally to groups of psychiatrists, physicians, psychotherapists, as well as the general public. She was a faculty member of the Banff Centre for Leadership for over 20 years and numbered IBM and many medical, social services, and environmental agencies amongst her clients. To develop spiritual intelligence in the mainstream, Tanis also worked for almost 30 years as a consultant to business, universities, medical organisations, and governments. Whew. She has presented at conferences featuring people like Rupert Sheldrake, Matthew Fox, Barbara Marx Hubbard, Greg Braden, Fitjof Capra, which was the only one I didn't know out of this, so I looked him up and he's amazing, and Jean Houston. Tanis is the author of many books, including Summer with the Leprechauns, as well as Pilgrimage with the Leprechauns, Take Your Soul to Work, Manifest Your Soul's Purpose, Decoding Your Destiny, Hybrids. Is Hybrids a separate book?
Yes, it is. It's hybrids, and the subtitle is So You Think You're Human.
Wow. Oh my God. I want to read all these books. There's more to come. The High Beings of Hawaii, Encounters with the Mystical Ancestors. And your latest book is called Good Morning, Henry, which is about conversations with the body spirit to transform the dark night of the soul into light. The body spirit is what Rudolf Steiner called the body elemental, which is fascinating. We'll talk about that. And her books have been translated into 7 languages. In 2000, Tanis founded the International Institute for Transformation, IIT, which offers programs to assist individuals to become conscious creators, to work with the spiritual laws governing our world. A student and teacher of the inner mysteries living in British Columbia, Canada, Tanis is committed to helping us develop our spiritual intelligence and a divine relationship with ourselves, others, and the earth, so we can live in love, wisdom, and divine will.
Yes, that's it. And what I do, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you, is that I do what I love.
Right,
And that is really the key. It's when you have a passion about something, you sparkle.
right,
And when you do something that you really don't want to, it's like the energy is just flat.
absolutely.
And people are attracted to you when you're passionate, and when you're flat, no one wants to know about it anyway. So,
But tell me about the elementals. Were you playing with them as a child? Were you speaking to the fairies and the leprechauns, or what was happening?
well, not only me, because a lot of children before the age of 7, there's this veil,
Yeah.
and it doesn't exist between this world and the other world. And it starts coming down when kids go to school. And so I was seeing what I called my special friend, and I would play with my special friend. And this was an elemental. And so when kids are talking about playing with their special friends, they're often talking about playing with elementals. And this whole story about Peter Pan and going to Never Never Land, and what a wonderful story that is. Well, Peter Pan is an elemental, an elf, and you can only go before you hit puberty. And as soon as you hit puberty, you can't go there anymore. As soon as you start to grow up, because that's when the veils come down, either at age 7, and if you escape, they'll come down at puberty. And for some reason, they didn't come down for me, these veils. And I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, I don't know if those veils came down for her either.
Oh God, I think they did for sure. For sure, I think they did. But wow, yeah, I've never thought about Peter Pan like that before. You're absolutely right, aren't you? It's
Mhm.
the magic of childhood. I have a client whose husband's had a terrible accident, and she's got these young children, and he's okay, he's healing. But I said, how are your kids coping? And she said, the little one, who's about 2, is just in pure ecstatic joy. Dad's sick, but it's not affecting his joy, like his joy. And I'm thinking, oh, if only we could all be like that. Like, regardless of the chaos happening around us, if we can maintain that connection to that joy that these little kids have, when he comes online, he's laughing and giggling and waving, and he's just exuberant. If only we could all be like that before the veils come down.
And then after they do, we have to learn how to help people and ourselves remove them,
Right.
so that by the time we get them removed, we're back to joy again.
So what did the elementals teach you as a child, where you're talking to them and having conversations with them, and the angels and the masters? You said you were
Well,
talking
as
to the
a
masters.
child, no, it was like I treated this as normal. It wasn't a special thing. It was just part of my everyday existence. And I think the difficult time for me happened when I was 8 years old, and we moved from living in the country, really, really a remote place, a different province, to Toronto. And my parents, not having very much money, they opened their first store, very little store, and we lived above it, in this tiny apartment where my brother and I shared a bedroom without even a window. And it was on a highway. So there was no connection with nature. However, I kept up then my inner life. I still had my inner life. And I remember, do you remember when kids went to brownies, and then you got to fly up to go to guides? And so I studied like crazy and did all my knots and got all my badges, and the day came that I was going to fly up. And I thought, oh, this is going to be so wonderful. Finally, I can go to Never Never Land and leave this terrible apartment back. And what happened was, trying to fly up, my mom said to me, now, Tanis, when you go tonight, don't be too disappointed, eh? Because she knew I had this idea I was going to fly, because I would stand on furniture and try to fly when they weren't around, and they'd hear me underneath in the store, right? So I went, and then I saw this lineup and the guides at the other end, and they said, now just flap your arms like this and run down to the end. And I did it, and I was a guide, and there had been no magic. So once again, I realized adults could not promise me anything. So there was this continual disappointment of not being able to get any help from adults with my spiritual journey, which led me to be very secretive and not tell people about various things, because I thought Who knows what my brother got sent to be fixed by a psychiatrist because he
Oh,
was doing weird things. And I thought, oh, I don't want to be fixed.
I don't want to be fixed. But that desire to fly, it's in, don't you think it's in all children? I so remember, like, why can't I fly? And I used to have flying dreams, and like, I can fly in my dreams. Why can't I fly? But I think it's a memory of who we are as spirit and weightless and without a body. It must be a memory. And then it's so
Yes.
confusing that we've got these dense, heavy bodies that just don't lift off. Like, well, hello? We're not lifting off. So many kids want to fly, jump off the sea. It's such a classic thing. Yeah, and you realize that the adults weren't going to help you. And so your brother was pretty switched on as well.
He was switched on, and he used to be a sleepwalker.
Wow.
And he would be in a trance state, and they'd find him out on the street, on the highway, dead asleep.
Wow.
And I used to also be in a semi-trance state when I went to sleep sometimes, and I'd call my parents, and my mom told me she'd come. And I'd know I'd called her, and I'd know I gave her, one of the things in my room. I'd get up, and then I'd go back to bed. And she used to say to me, I can ask you anything when I come in, and you give me the most incredible answers about things. And I was only young.
So when she says when you come in, when you're asleep, like she's talking
Yeah,
to
when
you
I'm
in
when
your,
I'm asleep.
so
When I'm
she,
asleep, and
right.
I'd call her to come,
Uh-huh.
and I'd be standing up, and I'd give her like my dresser drawer to put back in my dresser or something. Then I'd go back to bed. She'd follow me to the bed, and then she would start asking me questions. And I knew she was doing it, but also I was in my astral body, being able to still speak, and yet semi-trance state is the best way I can describe it. I was almost unconscious, but not.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a state of being in and out of the body simultaneously. So you're out and you're connected to your soul or higher wisdom, but you're
Mm.
also inside your body, but you're aware that you're out and in, like you're aware that your body's asleep, but you're
Both
in
things.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this, I don't know what you call it, this dual. I remember I spoke to Nancy Rhines, who had a near death. She was an atheist that had a near death experience, and she was hit by a truck. She was on a bike, so she's being dragged under the truck, and she's experiencing being dragged under the truck and the pain of all. But she's also outside watching the whole thing. So she's having that dual
Aha.
thing, being outside the body and inside the body simultaneously, having that identity with both aspects of ourselves. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, and I find that when I used to lead people in past life regressions and also lead them to find out what their purpose it was in this life
Mm,
and why they chose their mom and their dad before they entered,
mm,
so that they'd be hovering
mm.
above their body, and they would have these dual experiences of seeing their mother's body, seeing the there at the same time as they were making the decision
Mm,
to come down into it.
mm.
And so these things are, oh, there's so many words you could use. You could say that it's a medium hypnotic state. You could
Mhm.
say that it is a spiritual state. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
interesting.
well, let's get to when you knew that you were here to make a difference, to teach people. Like, how old were you when you got your marching orders from your higher self?
I was 18,
Uh-huh.
and I was skiing with my brother, and I just started my first year of university, so I was living away from home, and it was a rope tow, and it was my first time skiing, and I had a scarf on, and I was being towed up by this rope, and there was nobody back in the little shack to turn off the power. and I'm going up by my neck and way up into the air, hanging by my neck.
Oh,
And just as your lady who had a near death experience,
mhm,
all time stopped,
mhm,
and I had the foresight to hold the rope with this hand so that it wouldn't wind anymore, and
mhm.
hold the scarf here, because I knew that the only way I was getting down was if I could get my scarf cut on the pulley. And now I'm like way up in the air.
Oh my God. Mhm,
But I have no fear,
mhm.
none, none. And I saw I saw two paths open to me. I saw if I chose to die, my parents would be absolutely devastated. I could see the whole story about
Mhm,
how devastated, and not just devastated for like a year, but like really devastated.
mm.
And then I saw this other path and I heard, you won't be able to start your real work till you're 28.
Wow.
You're going to have to put in time.
Wow. Yeah. Time as like as a human, just
Yeah,
time.
yeah, as a human, going to university and traveling around the world, and I became a high school teacher for a while. I worked in factories. I did lots of things. And then when I was 28, I started teaching spiritual courses and being a psychotherapist.
I'll get to that. But how did you get out of the? How did you get out of the?
Oh, well, I just kept holding it,
Uh-huh.
and I thought this might hurt. And but there was no fear. It was the strangest thing. And I just hit the pole, knocked unconscious, severed the scarf, and dropped me on the ground. And
Wow.
I came to, and my brother is looking at me with such horror and such love.
Mm.
And so I didn't say anything. I didn't say, I mean, this was before the days when you go to a chiropractor or you think you should be calling the ambulance. I just said, "Oh, I'm here. Don't worry." Because I didn't want anyone to know how close it had been. I didn't want my
Oh,
parents to know. I didn't want my brother to know. See, I held so many secrets
I
through my
bet.
whole childhood.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. But
The
there you
cat's
go.
the cat's out of the bag, Tanis.
I know. I know.
The
Well,
secret life of Tanis Helliwell is over.
I know. I'm of an age now where I think, oh boy, my both my parents are dead and
Mm.
my brother's still here, which is lovely. But I have there's gosh, how much energy do you have to use holding secrets?
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting. It's
Oh,
absolutely exhausting. Yeah. All righty. Well, I think we'll leave it there. You've got some new
yes.
courses, I think, that you've got coming out. Did you want to have a quick chat about that before we go?
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. Yes. Well, folks, those who are listening, um,
Those that have
would you
stayed.
believe that we have just launched a nature spirit course? Oh, I think you would. And it's on co-creating with elementals to heal the earth.
Beautiful.
So anyway, it's about the body elemental. It's about finding your own partner, your own elemental partner to work with, and we've got workbooks, videos with yours truly, and MP3s to guide you through a whole bunch of guided visualizations. So you'll come out knowing lots about nature spirits and having a stronger connection. So yeah, it's on our website now. And I
So
think
that's on iitransform.com. Is that,
you,
or is that on Talis
yeah,
Helliwell?
it's on both of those. It's on iitransform.com and also on tanishelliwell.com.
Mhm.
And yep, you could go on, and it's also under spiritual transformation courses.
And
Dot.
oh, is it spiritualtransformationcourses.com? Oh, I haven't heard of that. Oh, that
I
sounds
think
interesting.
so. Yeah, it's brand new. In fact, I might even be wrong.
Still, still be interesting to look up.
Try all three. In doubt,
Do you,
I like the third option is always good.
do you have a YouTube channel as well where you've got
I do. I do.
so if
Yep.
we look up,
Tanis Helliwell. I guess it's under Tanis Helliwell.
okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we're gonna. I know you're gonna post this on your channel and send me the link, and I'll put it out in my newsletter as well. That would be
Perfect.
lovely. I've
Beautiful.
really enjoyed our chat.
It's been fun, isn't it? There's been so much more we could have talked about. Your life is so full and fascinating. Just
And I wanted to hear, yes, because I would like to hear about the other things you're doing, which you alluded to. I'm interested.
there's lots. When you get your marching orders from Spirit, it's up to us whether we implement them at all of it. But there's lots to do. These are transformative times, and there's lots to do. And there's so many ways that we can do it. So many ways we can do it. But thank you
And
so much for being, pardon?
and as you said, do it with joy.
Do it with joy. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been just such an honor and a blessing to have you on the show.
You too. It's been really lovely. Thank you for having me. Thank you.